Nobody really warns you about this part of growth. Not the work, not the discipline, the loneliness. Because one of the hardest phases of leveling up is realizing your old life no longer fits. There comes a moment, if you're serious about changing your life, where things start to feel different. You're still in the same place, around the same people, doing many of the same routines. But internally, something has shifted. The conversations just don't hit the same. The habits around you, they feel heavier. The environments that once felt normal, they start to feel misaligned with who you are. And that feeling can be deeply uncomfortable. Most people think something is wrong when this happens. They think, why do I feel disconnected? Like, why does this feel so lonely? Why don't I feel the same way? And why don't I fit in the same way that I used to? But this is often a sign of growth and not a problem. Because before your external world can change, there's usually a season where your internal world evolves first. And that in between season, it can be incredibly isolating. So here's the emotional truth. Here's the most part that people don't say aloud. Growth can create distance, not because you're better than everyone, not because you don't care, but because your priorities are shifting. Your standards are rising. Your tolerance for certain environments is changing. And sometimes that creates space where there used to be comfort. The temptation. This is where most people quietly retreat. They start to feel the loneliness and they shrink back to fit their old life again. And they lower their standards. They readopt old habits. They dim their growth just enough to feel familiar again. Because the pool of belonging is super powerful when it comes to humans. We thrive on connection, and that pool is super, super powerful just to feel like we belong somewhere, even if it costs us our entire expansion. So, but what if this lonely season, right, is actually a bridge? What if it's a temporary space between who you were and who you're becoming? Not permanent isolation, not punishment, just transition. Because real growth often requires a period where the new life isn't fully formed yet and the old life no longer fits. So here's some tactical grounding for you. If you're in this season right now, just remember this. You don't have to burn every bridge. You don't have to isolate yourself, but you do have to be honest about where you're being pulled forward and where you're being pulled back. So start intentionally building environments that support who you're becoming. Seek conversations that stretch you. Spend time where your disciplined self feels normal. Little by little, the loneliness gets replaced with alignment. Outgrowing your old life, it isn't comfortable. It isn't always loud. And sometimes it's very, very quiet. But often, that space is where the next version of you is being built. Stay the course. If this resonates with where you are right now, follow for more real conversations on discipline, identity, and growth. And comment growing if you can feel yourself in this in between season. Until next time, I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.